Dyson is to launch a range of pure electric cars in 2020, based upon cutting-edge battery technology and developed at a new campus on a disused World War II airfield in Wiltshire. A letter from company founder Sir James Dyson to employees this afternoon confirmed that he is investing £2 billion in the electric car venture, £1 billion in the car itself, and £1 billion to finalising and manufacturing the advanced solid-state batteries it will use. Dyson is already employing 400 people on its electric car project, and has decided to go public on its plans, which have been rumoured for more than 18 months, to help speed up recruitment and enable high-level discussions with third-party suppliers. Best all-electric cars on sale. A vacuum cleaner pioneer Dyson told Auto Express that he has had a vision for an electric car for almost 20 years and that his company will go it alone on developing the new vehicle, because he sees nothing that existing car manufacturers could bring to the process. Image 3 of 10. Image 3 of 10 were not a Johnny Comelitely 2 EVs, Dyson said. I was interested in an all-electric car back in 1998, but the industry wasn't interested. It wasn't a fashionable thought in 1998, it wasn't fashionable 3 years ago. I was very disappointed that none of the existing manufacturers solved this problem until bad publicity about diesel engines forced them to. I didn't see what an existing manufacturer could offer us. He revealed that the project has been under development already for 2.5 years, but said that no working vehicle yet exists. We don't have an existing prototype, he said, and what we're doing is quite radical, so there's not an existing chassis that we can use. Dyson declined to confirm size, design, or type of vehicle, but he acknowledged, it's not a sports car and it's not a very cheap car. It's about technology and using technology in an interesting way. We're not going for the leaf end of the market. He said that the car would have a distinct look, much as Dyson's home appliances brought a dash of color to that market. There's no point in doing one that looks like everyone else's, he said. We're not in that business. You'll have to wait and see. We're trying to be radical. Image 7 of 10. Image 7 of 10. The Dyson car will use solid-state batteries, the next generation of battery technology, and one that car manufacturers have been striving to introduce for much of the past decade. Toyota announced earlier this year that it hopes to have cars with solid-state batteries on sale by 2020, roughly the same time frame as Dyson's. Solid-state batteries don't contain liquids like lithium-ion units, so they have greater potential energy density, are theoretically safer, and can be recharged more quickly. Dyson revealed that the precise solid-state technology involved in the car will be decided from 2 internal projects. We believe the batteries will be ready, he said. They're highly complex. We've done the chemistry, but the manufacturing is highly complex. Engineers from the project will move from the existing Dyson campus to the new site at Hull Avington Airfield near Chippenham in Wiltshire early in 2018. While development for the project will be based in the UK, Dyson has yet to decide whether the cars will be built at the same site. Image 10 of 10. Image 10 of 10. We don't know where we're going to make it, he said. We'll make it wherever it's best to make it. Wherever we'll make the battery, we'll make the car. That's logical because they're big, heavy things to move around. Where it's logistically most sensible. We need to make a decision on this in the next few months, but if it is the UK, it would have to be their Hull Avington. Dyson has recruited a number of high-level Aston Martin employees over the past 18 months, including the firm's former product development chief Ian Minards. Dyson declined to confirm that retiring BMW board member Ian Robertson could join the automotive side of his business from his current non-executive board position at the wider Dyson company, but he said, it would be very nice if we can get him. Dyson also revealed that the 2020 launch will be the first of a range, and that he expects it to be sufficiently profitable to overtake the rest of his company's business. I think we can make a profit, he said. We know it's a crowded market. But if you produce a product that has tech that's genuinely better, that product people want, then it's possible to make money. The vacuum cleaner market was crowded when we entered it, after all. If our car business goes anywhere, I'd expect it to be bigger than the rest of the other Dyson divisions quite quickly. Sir James Dyson Q. And often did you first get interested in cars? Back in the late 80s. At that time I was about to launch a cyclonic vacuum and I knew a cyclone could collect diesel exhaust particulates. So I started developing a cyclonic separation unit to collect diesel exhaust particulates. We were testing a cyclonic exhaust filter by 1993. But I didn't let go of it, so we put a team on it. As it turned out, the cyclone couldn't collect fine enough particulates, but we went on developing it through to 1998. That year we approached truck, diesel and exhaust manufacturers to try to put pressure on them to fit our diesel exhaust systems to cars, trucks and buses. But the response was that there was a big problem disposing of the soot. Plus at the time, the press were still very keen on promoting diesel as clean, and car manufacturers said they'd fit ceramic filter traps, which to me are a bit like vacuum cleaner bags. They clog up and then you have to burn off the soot, which is a dubious process anyway. By then I was pretty fed up with the whole thing. I decided to start developing electric motors and batteries, and environmental control technology, because I could see at that stage, the late 90s, that we needed electric cars. I wasn't in a position to do that then, though, because the batteries weren't sufficiently developed. And the world didn't want it at that point either. But you haven't really stopped. No. Over past almost 20 years I've been developing new battery technology and new electric motors. Our digital motors are the fastest production electric motors in the world. A few years ago we bought SAC-T3, which has some very interesting solid-state battery technology. But we're also developing other forms of solid-state batteries. We now have 2 internal developments that are, if you like, competing with each other. We may use one in our next generation of vacuum application and one in the car application, or we may use just one. But internally, at the moment, we're backing 2. Image 5 of 10. Image 5 of 10. So how did you get to the point where you've made the decision to build a car? I've been developing these technologies consistently because I could see that one day we could do a car. We could do a car when we had really interesting battery technology that was better than other people's, that moved beyond the problems of liquid lithium-ion batteries, a really efficient electric motor, really efficient air purification and treatment, and a really efficient, aerodynamic car. So 2.5 years ago we started developing a car. We have more than 400 engineers working on an electric car. And we're still building the team. It's getting bigger and bigger. We've recently bought this airfield, called Hull-Avington Airfield, and that will be where we develop our car. We're moving in February. We're doing up a couple of the 1934 hangars, and we've nearly finished. It's a great place, an old World War II airfield. At the end of WW2 it had over 1,000 planes on it, of every type. The picture I'm trying to create is that we're not a Johnny-come-lately to the scene of electric cars. It's been my ambition since 1998, when I was rejected by the industry, which has happily gone on creating polluting diesel and petrol engines, and governments have gone on allowing it. So it's been an ambition of mine from almost 19 years ago to come up with an all-electric car. It wasn't a very fashionable thought in 1998, it wasn't a very fashionable thought even 3 years ago. But it's suddenly become so. We make 100 million battery cells a year for vacuum cleaners. We're already a very large manufacturer of batteries. I'm told that that's something like 6% of the world's rechargeable battery market. How much is this costing? I will invest £1 billion in the car and £1 billion in the battery technology, including production facilities, plus £500 million in our other products, vacuums and robotics. We hope to bring out an all-electric car in 2020. Why are you going public on this now? That's a good question. The answer is that the Treasury had already announced it, but also because it was making it difficult to talk to subcontractors. It was holding up dealing with that side. And finally, recruitment. You can't say what people are going to do. We want to talk to governments, and as we've discovered, governments are leaky. So we thought it was better to announce it on our own terms. Plus we're recruiting the best engineers and scientists. That's key to what we do at Dyson. Image 6 of 10. Image 6 of 10. Can you give us an idea of what we can expect from the car itself? Will it be an urban mobility vehicle or something with a wider breadth of abilities than that? I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it's not a sports car and it's not a very cheap car. It's about technology and using technology in an interesting way. We're not going for the leaf end of the market. But when it comes out, do you expect it to look very different from what we've seen before, in the same way that a Dyson vacuum cleaner looked very different from what we'd seen before? Yes. There's no point in doing one that looks like everybody else's. We're not in that sort of business. We're trying to be radical, but you'll have to wait and see. You're obviously not going to give us a figure now, but given your battery technology, do you think you're going to be able to get a range out of your electric car that exceeds what's on the market? Well, that's where the battle is. And yes, being efficient and having a good range is important. 2020 isn't far away. Do you have running prototypes already? No, we don't have an existing chassis yet, and what we're doing is quite radical, so there's not an existing chassis that we can use. We're starting from scratch. A lot of car companies spread massive development costs across a range of vehicles. Are you only making one car, or is this your first entry and there's a whole potential model lineup to follow? Exactly that. Getting into doing a new technology car is different, and the cars should be different, because they can't be built like internal combustion engined cars. But the upfront investment in the body in white is a huge investment. Over the years, we'd hoped to get payback on that initial investment in the body in white, so, yes, we hope to have a range of cars. Where will you build the car? We don't know where we're going to make it. We'll make it wherever it's best to make it. An all-electric AA with this technology is very different from a normal combustion-engined car. Wherever we'll make the battery, we'll make the car. That's logical because they're big, heavy things to move around. We want to be near our suppliers, we want to be in a place that's friendly to us, and which welcomes us. So it's where it's logistically most sensible. We see a very large market for this car in the Far East. Again, though, 2020 is not far away. You must have to make decision on this soon. We're looking at the next few months for a decision on where the factory is. Image 8 of 10. Image 8 of 10. Do you have a short list, and is the UK on it? There are front runners. And the UK would always be a front-runner. But we want to be near where our markets are. And the Far East has reacted more quickly to wanting electric cars than Europe has. Would that be at the same site where you're doing the development, the new facility at Hull Avington, or would it be somewhere else? It would have to be there. Do you have an emotional attachment to having at least some of the production in the UK, or are you being purely businesslike about it? I have to be businesslike. Inputting £2 billion of my own money into it. Although we don't manufacture the vacuum cleaners in England, I already employ 4,000 people developing them in England. So at the very least, we'll develop it here. We'll have the know-how here and create a lot of jobs, and they're high-value jobs. By the way, you say the car will be powered by solid-state batteries. Can you give us an idea of why these are better than the batteries currently in electric cars? Solid-state batteries have no liquid chemicals, so they're much safer. They don't heat up. You can charge them quicker. They're better for recycling, and if you do it correctly, you can make them much more dense and powerful than even the future proposed lithium-ion batteries. Have you looked at the charging infrastructure, because that's one of the big flaws at the moment in this country and lots of other countries? Would you have your own charger, or will you look to use universal chargers? Well, I think by then chargers will be universal. But what we'd like to see is the government putting three-phase charging into people's homes. Really, you need 21 kilowatts charger in people's homes, not a 13A charger. I want people to be able to charge at home and not spend an hour at a petrol station. Charging is a big issue, though. Tesla went its own way and created a supercharger network. Are you not even considering looking at something similar? I haven't got the money, to be honest. Tesla's received $5 billion in government aid or something like that, and a huge amount of investors' money. I don't have that. I'll tell you what I am doing, though. I've built 2 anaerobic digesters in Lincolnshire, and I supply 6 megawatts, 24 hours per day, 7 days per week, into the national grid, to power 10,000 homes. And I hope to do a bit more of that. Have you even considered partnering with an established manufacturer on this project? That's not the way we do things. We want to do it ourselves and control it ourselves. Is that because they didn't support your earlier efforts with the cyclonic exhaust system? I'm not being as strict as that on other manufacturers, but I was very disappointed that none of them solved this problem until bad publicity about diesel engines forced them to. I didn't see what an existing manufacturer could offer us. We didn't have even exploratory talks with existing manufacturers. Your company has conducted a lot of research into vision systems, including the 360-degree vision that's fitted to your robotic vacuum cleaners. Could they support autonomous technologies? I think they call it driver assist. I think that total hands-off driving is still some way off. But there are lots of interesting things that can be done through vision systems. It's what's called level 2, not level 3 yet. There's lots of other things besides the actual driving that vision systems can do for you. Can you make profit doing this? I hope so. That's the idea. Yes, I think we can. We know it's a crowded market. But if you produce a product that has technology that's genuinely better, a product people want, then you can make money. The vacuum cleaner market was crowded when we entered it. Have you thought about your route to market? The car industry is seeing a lot of movement towards subscription models, for example. We don't know yet, but that would certainly be a model. And we're moving to be much more direct with the other things we sell. We're certainly considering rental and other forms of purchasing. How many cars do you envisage selling? We want to sell lots. We never make predictions, because our idea is to put in new technology and develop a car that we think is attractive to people. But I can't predict how many people will buy it. The 2020 date is that when the car will be available to buy, or is that when you hope to have a working model? We hope to be ideally ready to deliver in 2020, but more realistically it'll be early 2021. And we'd love to take orders from now on. How big a deposit would I need if I wanted to do that? I haven't thought about it except in the past 10 minutes, because it's some way off yet. But maybe we should start thinking about it. Will a Dyson electric car be a success? Let us know in the comments below.